Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're looking at a new Caracosta card. And if you're all thinking, hang on a second, Watty, didn't we just look at a new Caracosta card? Yes, we did. We looked at a new Caracosta GX. Well, now we got a non-GX. It's in the same set. Speaking of it, the translation for it comes from Cerebi.net and myself playing around with Google Translate. So what does it do? Well, let's start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here. And we can see that it's got 160 HP. It's a stage 2. We expect it to have a fairly beefy HP and we're not disappointed. But do remember, we looked at a new Archeops the other day, and that's got 130 HP. 160 is way better. Retreat cost of 3 is super annoying because it means you cannot get extra HP with buff padding, you cannot search it out with Pokemaniac, and it's really high. It's the worst retreat cost in the game right now. Yay! That was sarcastic. The weakness to grass I really like because who really cares? I mean, something like a Celebi and Venusaur will one-hit KO you, whereas they otherwise wouldn't. But other than that, we're doing alright, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing alright. And we're a water Pokemon, which means we can use Naganadel and Quagsire to accelerate energy. Naganadel to itself and then Quagsire to move it to the active. It means, and this is way more important, we're hitting weakness on Reshiram and Charizard, on Blacephalon, on Arcanine. But you see, with stuff like Welder running around, Fire Dex just got well good. Ha, I didn't even mean that one. But with something like this, we can get around it. We can do A-OK. And of course, we'll get more into this in a minute, but this is a water Pokemon that attacks for fighting energy. Now, we're seeing more and more of this lately. Breloom, for argument's sake, which is coming in the same set. We looked at this fairly recently. Breloom is a fighting Pokemon that attacks for grass energy. So we're seeing this more and more, and I kind of love this. But what does it actually do? Well, the ability here is kind of nice. Your opponent's Pokemon tools in play have no effect. Cool. It's Lysander Labs. Yes, it's literally Lysander Labs. Except it's not a stadium. But other than that, it's cool. Except it's better than Lysander Labs, because Lysander Labs turned off the effect of all tools, those being both yours and your opponent's, whereas this only turns off your opponent's. And how are they turning it off? Power Plant? Oh, no, you're not a GX. Slacking? Cool. If Slacking's in the active, your Pokemon can have any tools they like and they'll do it. If he's not, you're having a whale of a time. Now, the wording here is extremely important. It doesn't say they don't have tools. It says the tools have no effect. So something like Doublade here, that's got Tool Drop and does more damage for each tool that your opponent and you have in play, will still work. You still do 30 damage for each tool in play, it's just that those tools in and of themselves don't actually do anything. And that's a really important distinction to make. But you're turning off tools, so your opponent might be playing a Psychic deck with Spell Tag. Ha! Now they're not dropping all that damage. They might be using something like a Choice Helmet. Now, admittedly, Choice Helmet means you're attacking with GXs, but actually we're going to mention Caracosta GX in a minute. And this means that Caracosta GX can go right through Choice Helmet. That's pretty tasty. But really here, although there are a bunch of them, a Skateboard is the main one here. A Skateboard here is great. Because you see, I mean, firstly, it's a good way to retreat, but everyone's playing Jirachi. And Jirachi, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. If it's in the active, put a trainer card into your hand. But then Jirachi goes to sleep, and people go, don't worry about that. I'll just retreat with a Skateboard. And post-rotation, we're not going to have Escape Rope, and we're not going to have Guzma. So you're going to be relying on a Skateboard way more than you usually would, and this is going to turn off a Skateboard, which means Jirachi is basically going to be stuck in the active. And that's kind of hilarious. It'll turn off all your opponent's tools, including a whole bunch that have yet to be released. But really what I love here is the fact that you just turn off all your opponent's tools. It really is a wonderful, wonderful thing. A skateboard more than anything else, but make no mistake about it, there are plenty of tools your opponent is going to want. Cool. Now, we do need at this point to address the fact that Caracosta is a Stage 2 restored Pokemon, which should be really awkward, but it's actually not that bad. Because we recently had a look at Laboratory, and Laboratory says that during your turn, you may search your deck for 2 Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil and put them onto your bench. I've said it a few times, but let me say it one more time. Caracosta does not evolve from unidentified fossil. Tortuga evolves from unidentified fossil, so that's what you need to use here, ladies and gentlemen. You use it to get your Tortuga out, and then you can evolve it. But it basically turns this into a Stage 1, which is quite tiny. And then, of course, we've got Caracosta GX. I like a lot about Caracosta GX. But for a single colorless energy, is a GX attack, you get to put as many Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil as you like directly onto your bench. Now, again, you can't get Caracosta here, but you can get all the Tortuga that you want. And I think this is leading us towards a fossil deck. And that's kind of cool. But we do need to look at what the attack does. And apparently it does 80 damage plus 20 more for each colorless energy in your active Pokemon's retreat cost. So really, what are you playing against? And there's a very simple formula. If your opponent's HP is equal to or less than 80 plus their retreat cost times 20, this is a really good attack. And if not, boo. Let's work through some examples, shall we? If we take something like Celebi and Venusaur, you're doing 160 damage, which sounds good, but they've got 270 HP. Okay, might need to rethink this one. Now, the great news is here that against water weak Pokemon, oh, I'm loving it. So if we take something like Reshiram and Charizard, they've got a retreat cost of 3. Which means you're doing 80 plus 60, which is 140, double with weakness. Oh, look! 280. One hit KO. The non-GX Blacephalon, don't worry about the retreat cost. You're doing 160 regardless. They go down. The GX Blacephalon, retreat cost of 2. You're hitting 120, double with weakness, 240. We good, ladies and gentlemen. We good. Something like Arcanine. Arcanine's got a retreat cost of 4, so you're actually hitting 160, double weakness is 320. Yeah, you're golden, ladies and gentlemen, they're going down. If you're not hitting for weakness, you don't actually KO all that much, though. There's too many Pokemon that are surviving. We looked at Quagsire earlier. You're hitting 120. Yay! If we look at Naganadel, however, you're hitting 100, they've got 130, that's kind of annoying. If we look at Zapdos, you're hitting 120, they've got 110, so that's kind of good. So maybe this does hit more than I'm giving it credit for. Certainly against a lot of GXs, you will be out of luck. I mean, Pikachu and Zekrom, they might be sitting there with a retreat cost of 3, but you're doing 140 and they've got 240. Something like Naganadel GX, which is going to be way better post-rotation, they are sitting there with a retreat cost of 1. So you're hitting 100 and they've got 210, and that's not going to get you too close. There are a bunch of things you're KOing and a bunch of things you're not. If you're hitting for weakness, it's great. Otherwise, it might be. But it's for a fighting double colorless, so you've basically got 2 options here. And they're both kind of cool. Option number 1, play it in a water deck. Play it with Quagsire and Naganadel, and then just play a couple of fighting energy. But you see, even though it's a fighting Pokemon, this is one of the rare fighting Pokemon where the energy cost really doesn't bother us. Because you see, we've got Black Belt. Now, Black Belt doesn't reduce the attack cost for a fighting Pokemon. It reduces the attack cost by 1 fighting energy, regardless of what kind of Pokemon you are. So as long as you're behind on prizes, you whack this on, boom, now you're paying a double colorless. We don't have double colorless energy, but we do have triple acceleration energy. So now you attach a triple acceleration energy with a Black Belt, you're paying this in one go. I don't think this is a phenomenal attacker. I think it's a good attacker and it's good at hitting for weakness. And if you're playing a fossil deck, you're playing Kabutops, 2 block supporters. You're playing Armored Star on the off chance you can item lock them. It's not going to happen very often. You're playing Aerodactyl as a really good non-GX attacker. And then maybe you're playing Rampardos. But the energy cost is awkward. And I think you might be playing Caracosta GX. Just remember that if you've got Aerodactyl, it doesn't do much damage unless you've got no GXs on the field, so you have to get Caracosta out of here. Okay. But if you're playing Caracosta GX anyway, this fits in. And you'll be playing Fighting Energy anyway, because all the other fossil Pokemon I'm talking about are either colorless or Fighting Energy. And you'll play Triple Acceleration Energy anyway, because it works with Kabutops and it's great with Aerodactyl. So, I adore this Pokemon. On its own merit, I like it, especially the ability. But if we're playing a fossil deck, it's easy to get out because of stuff like Laboratory and Carracosta. You're already playing Caracosta, so you're playing Tortuga. You're already playing Fighting Energy. You're already playing Triple Acceleration Energy. This fits in beautifully. And I think if you're playing a fossil deck, you're playing this. Will this work on its own? I think it might. The attack cost is eminently payable. It's the best weakness in the game right now, and you've got the GX to pair it with. I'm giving this 4 Wassies. I actually really like this card. I'm excited to have a play with it. And we're not like a couple of months ago where I cannot in good conscience recommend any restored Pokemon, because now restored Pokemon are way better. I really like this, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm a fan. But I would very much like to know if you're a fan, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.